Hi, this is David with David's Tutorials, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install a gadget I wish I had installed a long time ago, a push-button door lock. Getting out your key every time you arrive home can sometimes be a major inconvenience. Wouldn't you rather just push a few buttons? There's quite a bit of remote unlock technology available in many of today's cars. It's taken the door lock industry a little while to catch up. There are quite a few decisions that you need to make when you're deciding to put a push-button lock onto your home's door. And the two major things you need to decide are how much technology do you really want, how much do you need, and how much are you willing to spend on it. So before installing a lock on my own door, I did a lot of research on this, and I looked at door locks that cost well more than $1,000, all the way down to some costing less than $100. The level of technology available on some of these locks is really quite amazing. Some of them allow you to see who's at your door right there on your smartphone. Some of them allow you to unlock the door from anywhere in the world on your smartphone. Some allow thousands of different codes to allow different people into your door. Some of them only allow a few. Some of the locks come with a handle, a knob. Some of them are only a deadbolt lock. Some of them come with 10 buttons you can push. Some of them come with only 5 buttons you can push. With those 5-button locks, generally each button has 2 numbers on it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Whichever lock you choose, it of course will have to be your decision, but let me share with you which lock I selected and why, and then I'll show you how I installed it. My first thought was I wanted it to be a deadbolt only lock. Why? Because I've already got a really good knob on that door, and the deadbolt that I have installed is a separate item. Therefore, I don't need to spend more money for something I already have that works fine. I just want to replace the deadbolt. My second consideration is that I did not want my lock to connect to the internet. Why? Well, first, I know that all the technology for connecting a lock to the internet is going to make it more expensive, and I'm really actually quite a thrifty person. Some people might call me cheap, but no, I just like to be very careful how I spend my money. The second thing is I just don't like living my life on the internet. Finally, I decided I only needed a 5-button lock. I do not need a 10-button lock. And the reason for that is that with a 5-button lock, if it permits a 6-digit entry code, that gives me 78,125 different combinations. If it allows a 7-digit entry code, which is about the same as a phone number, and most of us have memorized phone numbers, then that would give me more than 390,000 entry code combinations, and that's plenty security for me. So I went shopping, and the lock I picked was the Kwikset PowerBolt 2. This lock fit all my criteria. It had 5 buttons. It even has an internal light, so once I push that first button, it lights up and I can see what buttons I'm pushing at night. And the good thing is, it costs less than $60 as of the making of this video. There's a link to that lock in the description down below. Since installing the lock, I've been using it for several months now, and one really good thing I've discovered is that it's very easy, even in the pitch black darkness, to feel the lock and know exactly where all the 5 buttons are and to enter your code by feel. This lock also has a feature where it will relock itself a designated number of seconds after you open it. It could be 10 seconds, it could be 30 seconds, it could be a minute, something like that. I haven't seen the need to use this feature yet, but I can see in a house with small children, this would be a very good feature to have. All in all, this lock was really pretty easy to install. Here's what I did to install it. Here's the box with the lock. You can see it's a Kwikset PowerBolt touchpad keyless entry lock. Inside the box we have the instruction manual, and I actually could read it using my glasses, the inner mechanism, the mounting plate, the outside touchpad, the striker plate, the deadbolt, the keys, and the mounting hardware. The instructions come in both Spanish and in English. Fortunately for me, they are in English because that's all I needed. Following the instructions, the first thing I did was to insert 4 of my own batteries, it didn't come with batteries, into the inner mechanism. It's pretty easy to see the appropriate polarity of the batteries. Once the batteries are inserted, you'll need to initialize the electronics by pressing the reset button, which I did with one of the screws from the hardware packet. When properly initialized, you'll hear the beeps from the mechanism. Keeping in mind that this is a deadbolt only lock, the next step is to remove your old deadbolt from the door. To do this, simply remove the holding screws from the inside panel of the lock. I have 2 of them. Once those are removed, it's a simple matter to pull the inner and outer mechanisms off of the door. When that's done, remove the screws from the deadbolt striker plate on the edge of the door so we can remove the old sliding bolt from the door. When the screws are out, simply pull the old sliding bolt straight out from the edge of the door. Assuming the old bolt hole is the right size, which it should be, you can then simply insert the new sliding bolt directly into the hole. If it doesn't fit, you'll need to adjust the hole size yourself or call a carpenter to do it for you. With the new sliding bolt in place, we secure the sliding bolt by screwing the new striker plate for the new deadbolt into the edge of the door. Just to be sure, it's a good idea to measure the diameter of the hole in the door and make sure it matches the requirements outlined in the instruction manual. The inner mounting plate screws go through the holes in the mounting plate and through the door and fasten into the outer mechanism, and once you tighten those screws down, it will pull the 2 pieces together and the friction will keep them very solidly in place on that door. The next step is to attach the inner mounting plate with the supplied screws to the outer keypad. You can see we're putting the screws right through the door from the inner plate to the outer keypad. Then we test that it works by manually turning the locking mechanism. Yep, it works. It's always a good idea to test your backup mode of unlocking a deadbolt. In this case, it's a key. Here, I test that the key works as it should to unlock the door. By the way, I haven't needed to use that key once since I installed this lock. Now it's time to attach the brains of this gadget, the inner mechanism. First, make sure the unlocking barrel slot is oriented properly. Next, attach the electrical connection so the keypad on the outside can communicate with the brains on the inside. Next, slide the inner mechanism onto the inner door plate mount and fasten it with screws. Test the internal locking knob to make sure it works properly. Finally, slide the battery compartment cover into place and the installation is complete and ready for programming. The instructions on programming the unit are usually covered very nicely in the instruction manual that comes with your unit, so I'm not going to go over them here. Besides, they're going to be different for whatever kind of unit you get if it's not like mine. I will tell you, however, always delete the default code that the unit comes with. The reason for this is if anybody else buys a unit just like yours, they will read the default code right in the instruction manual, and if you've left yours in place, they can come to your house, insert the default code, and they're in your house. We don't want that. I'm so glad you watched this video. If you'd like to help David's tutorials and encourage us to make more tutorials like this one, all you got to do, 3 things. Number 1, share it with people that you know that own a house. Everybody that you know that has a house could probably benefit by installing a push button door lock. The next thing you can do is hit that thumbs up button to let the YouTube robots you knew it, and they will promote it to more people. And finally, if you're not already a subscriber, click that subscribe button and then the bell icon, and YouTube will notify you whenever we post another great tutorial right here on David's Tutorials.